Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back, y'all. Welcome, biggity back, y'all. Hey, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello. If you are not new here, then of course it is just welcome back. If you do not know me, my name is Kelsi, and I post VSG content and life after VSG content here on my YouTube channel. It is my hope that through my videos you are able to find the answers you were looking for, or the path to choosing surgical weight loss is made that much easier. Hey y'all, it is Friday here. I don't know when you guys will see this video, but it's Friday the 29th, September the 29th here. And I'm just trying to be proactive and get in some videos, get them pre-recorded so that I can get them uploaded and just be, you know, kind of like, do the Amberlynn Reed thing, kind of record ahead of time, get ahead of the curve so that I can be consistent and get consistent content out to you at least once a week. So I wanted to come to you. I mentioned in my last video, there were two topics that I wanted to talk about, and that was Moonjaro. And there was also a conversation I wanted to have about transfer addiction. So I'm going to be wearing the same outfit in both of those videos, or these videos that I make. So don't be coming for me. I do take baths. I just make both of these videos in the same night. I'm going to change the lighting because I don't look right. I don't like this. Hang on. Okay, yeah, that is much better. I don't look like I am just, you know, baking in the hot summer sun. I got me a nice bottle of water. They had these at Publix. They were for $5. Don't the blue color just make you feel like you know, like I'm drinking pool water? I got my heated blanket. It is almost October here, so it's not cold, but I'm always cold. Get a snack, sit down and talk to me. It's not going to be a long video. I try not to make my videos over 20 minutes if I can, just for like time's sake. I know you guys don't want to spend an entire day listening to me. So what we're going to talk about tonight is just transfer addictions, and I do have my notes here just for me to reference, because I made like some little, you know, of course my bulletins, and it's hard for me to remember everything because I just don't have that capacity anymore. Bariatric surgery, in a nutshell, is so life-changing, and as it takes the focus away from food, it leads you to get involved in other things, whether that be, you know, being active, having an active, healthy lifestyle. You delve into work more. You are able to be with friends and family more. You are able to travel more. It just opens up the door for so many things for so many people. But here's the thing. Before bariatric surgery, food was an addiction for me. It still is an addiction for me. There are times when I find myself craving certain things, wanting certain things, and it's typically when I'm emotional or I'm going through something or I'm upset. That's just how that works. And after bariatric surgery, I can't use food to deal and cope with those emotions anymore. And that's hard to deal with. That's hard to understand. That is hard to work through. For some people, it is an emotional addiction, meaning that you lean and depend on food for comfort and for a way to deal with certain circumstances. That's my case. Or it could be a chemical addiction where you actually crave certain foods like salty or sweet carbs because your body is just addicted, and that's the chemical portion of it. Or it could be a mixture of both. It just depends on your situation. As I stated, after weight loss surgery, using food to cope is just not really an option, and it leaves you in a situation where you're like, okay, so what do I do with my hands? Literally, like, I'm not feeding myself, so what can I do with my hands? And that's how transfer addictions develop, because you're not able to use your drug of choice, which is food, to deal with things realistically. Transfer addictions are a real and a serious thing for most bariatric patients, because you're put in a very vulnerable position because you just don't know which way to go. But a little bit of understanding of what exactly a transfer addiction is can help you be prepared. You can't always prevent certain things, but knowing the telltale signs of a transfer addiction, or understanding how detrimental a transfer addiction can be to your life, your personal relationships, your finances, to your overall health, that could aid in you being able to navigate whatever transfer addiction you may incur in the future. Just a little bit about my transfer addiction. As I mentioned, I've always been a shopper. I have always been someone who likes to thrift. I like to buy things and make them new. I'm going to get some little footage of my house. I've actually basically redone my entire house decor wise. And I would say 90% of the things that I have that I've purchased have been from the thrift store. And that's not just me talking. That is literally like I pieced together my house and the things that I found from the thrift store. Unbelievable or not. So I'm going to put some, clips here as I talk, but, I would take little trips to the thrift store here and there, and I would buy things, and I would get things, and I would, my husband would be like, you're at the store again, what are you getting? And I'm like, oh, well, we needed this, and, oh, we needed this, or I'd be on Shein, or I'd be on, Amazon, and I'd, be purchasing things, and over time, things started adding up. And when you are not cognizant fully of what is going on with your addiction, as I've mentioned, and I heard a patient that I worked with many years ago who said to me, hey, I don't know how I became addicted to meth. I used one day, and then the next thing I know, I was a full-blown addict. And it was like it just popped up overnight, or the repercussions of my actions popped up overnight. And that's kind of like what happened with me. I would say that the spending started off very slow. It started off very unnoticeable, and it was manageable. I could, pay certain things, and, it was no big deal. I'd spend $150 here. Oh, okay, I'll pay it off. But then I noticed that the purchases became bigger and bigger, or the purchase amounts became bigger and bigger, and they just began adding up. And then it got to a point where I began hiding things. And that is how my food addiction was. My food addiction would start off very small. I would stop at McDonald's on the way home, and I would get a hamburger, and I would eat it, and I'd hide the paper or throw the paper out the window. Lord forgive me. I've probably contributed to 80% of global warming. And I would throw the paper out the window to hide the evidence, or I would hide it in my purse, whatever I needed to do to just make sure that my husband didn't know that I had eaten an entire hamburger before getting home and cooking dinner for them and sitting down and eating. And I was doing the same thing here. I was, hiding, emails and statements, and I was going to all paperless statements because I didn't want my statements to come to the house. My husband is very financially confident and conscious. He is very savvy about saving. He's very frugal, but frugal to the way where it doesn't hinder or stop our progression. It's helpful, and it makes sure that we are safe. And although I hold my own, I pay my bills and I have money of my own, with credit cards and using credit cards, let's say for instance you have one credit card that you use all the time, and that minimum payment is $40 a month. That's really no big deal. You have $1,000 balance. That's no big deal. I'm sure you'll pay that off, within a year's time, whatever. But when you have 10 credit cards, all with balances over, a certain dollar amount, and you're paying those bottom line monthly payments per month, tacked on with the interest, you're basically only paying a principal, the interest. You're not even going towards the balance that you have. And so I had dug myself in this hole where it was like, for instance, let's say, I had a payment of $180 due that month. I'd make that $180 payment on that one card. Keep in mind, I had, I think, 5 cards, maybe 6 cards, all, with pretty substantial balances. And I'd make that payment on that card, and $140 of that was interest. So $40 per se would only go towards the balance. And at that rate, I would have never paid off the balance. I just would have been in this endless, dark circle of defeat. And so then it began affecting me mentally. It began affecting me physically. it began affecting me emotionally. And when you are with someone or you're married to someone, they know what you have going on. They know you. And he didn't say anything, of course, but one night, sorry, I was up and I was working or whatever, and my husband, as gently as he could, he said to me, basically like, so when were you gonna tell me about your debt? And I was like, huh? Like, huh? Like I can't hear you. And he was like, well, when were you gonna tell me about your debt? And basically we had a conversation that entailed like, this is what's going on. And it was in that moment, in that intervention type of moment, I realized that I had a transfer addiction, and I had began using shopping to deal with emotions, to deal with feelings, to deal with, happy, sad, any whatever. And it was taking over. And not just really shopping, just I guess more so of a spending addiction. It was that thrill of spending or getting a good deal or finding something on clearance. I guess I'm more of a find it on clearance addiction type of person. I want to get the best value for my money, even though I'm still spending money. Editing Kelsi here, and I realized that I used the fact of getting items on clearance and on sale. I use that as a justification of me continuing to spend large sums of money over time. I don't want to spend a whole bunch of money. I just want to spend small increments, just a lot of them. And so, saying it out loud to him, like, okay, look at Miss Side Boob. She done showed up for the party. Mentioning that to him out loud really put into perspective exactly what I had going on. And that's how I felt when I found out I had a compulsive eating disorder. It was the same exact feeling. Shame. Like I felt insulted. I felt dumb. I felt defeated because I had allowed this addiction to creep in on me. And here I was, fully exposed in front of my husband, who didn't judge me. But at the same time, here I am again in this position, just in a different boat, headed to the same destination. Because, even though it's not weight, it's a different type of weight. It's a financial weight. So I say all of that to say, be aware of things and habits and triggers that put you in a position where you feel like you are falling into addictive patterns and behaviors. And hopefully with these next little tips I'm going to give you, you'll be able to identify and you won't end up like me. I will say that I am in counseling. I have, reached out to someone to work through things that I thought I had already worked through. A lot of people say, oh, the surgery is so hard, or the pain of the surgery is so hard, and not being able to eat what I want is so hard. Actually, in my opinion, the hard part is having the surgery and then having to deal with everything that it exposes, because it exposes the nasty truth about a lot of us. And for me, it really put into perspective, what I had going on. Speaking of shopping addiction, spending addiction, I am on TikTok, if you guys are not on TikTok, and I do go on the TikTok shop, but I am sponsored by different TikTok shop vendors. I'm not purchasing these things, and if I do purchase it, as subtle and as harmless as this is meant to be, I do want to point out that this is also a live exposure of my addiction. As you can see, I used, I get it at a discounted rate. Oh, I'm given coupons by the vendors, to make the purchase a smaller amount. That is full-blown addiction. And now that I've been in, counseling and therapy for a good bit, I'm able to identify this. But this was so fresh in the beginning of when I had found out that what I had going on, y'all. I looking at this video, I am in awe or in shock. It's right there. It is like at a super discounted rate so that I can use the product and I can refer you guys to it or put it out there. And this is not something I'm going to get commission for. This is something that I actually have really enjoyed, that I actually really like using. And if you guys haven't, or you would like to, and you have any issues with like emotions and not being able to like work through those emotions, let me show you what I got that has been a godsend. So I picked up the Shadow Work Journal, and I thought it was just like a lot of hype. I thought it was just like, oh, you know, those little books that you could buy at Five Below. Like, here's one that I've gotten at Five Below. This is the Surprise Yourself. Get out of your head and into the world. It's a book that gives you like different little things to do, and I've done them, but I found it very, very kiddie. I found it to be very like, nah. But this one right here has really helped me deal with, you know, some trauma. And one of my most favorite portions of this book, let's see, and I'm going to try and cover this. It's the fill in the blank section of this book. It gives you prompts, and it tells you to, like, the first word that comes to your mind, put it down, because that is your most genuine thought. So I'll read this to you. I haven't done this one. As a child, I was yelled at for everything. Well, anything and everything. And that's my fill-in. My response was to blank and blank after this. Mine would be to run and hide. So I'm not going to finish the rest of it, but it has you to go through these things, and you fill in these blanks, and you answer these reflection questions, and it really helps you to understand why you do some of the things you do and what causes these emotional breakdowns. And what I'm really excited to get to, it's something called Get to the Root of Your Shadow. Really excited to get to that. If you guys want to, like I said, this is not sponsored. I do not get any type of compensation for this. But when I find something that I really like, I try to tell you guys about it, because I know how important it is to be emotionally sound after the surgery. So anyways, just wanted to put that little plug in. So we're going to get to my little 5 tips, and we're going to get out of here because we're on 17 minutes already. But I just want you guys to know that most bariatric patients do not suffer from transfer addictions. Only a very small portion of bariatric patients are affected by transfer addictions, but it is still a reality. The percentages are high enough to where it is a concerning thing. And so it is very imperative that you are made aware of, you know, some of the signs and symptoms and the telltale giveaways of a transfer addiction, should you need to be prepared. It's important to know that some patients are at a higher risk for developing a transfer addiction than others. Like if you dealt with addictions prior to surgery, such as a food compulsion eating disorder, binge eating disorder, or if you have a family history of compulsions and addictions, your chances of developing a transfer addiction are higher. There are several addictions in my family. There's alcoholics, there's shopaholics, there are drug addicts. We have addictive personality disorders within our family. So there's a lot of addiction on both sides of my family, and so I'm predisposed. Luckily within my life, I have not picked up on the alcoholism, but that is very rampant and very strong within my family. So that is definitely something I'm very aware and cognizant of. My little antennas are up when it comes to that, but it wasn't aware. They weren't up when it came to the shopping and spending addiction, which I wish it could have been, had my dollars up or something. I don't know. Next thing I want you guys to know about transfer addictions, they can be very harmful. They can cause a lot of havoc. They can reap havoc. They can ruin your professional, financial, relationships, your health, such as alcoholism, a shopping addiction, a gambling addiction. These things can really, really, really take a toll on you, your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, your financial health. In my case, it can definitely put you in a place where you are lost again. And it's very important to know how harmful a transfer addiction can be, and how important it is for you to know, like, hey, I am at risk of this, and this is something that I need to pay attention to. Last but not least, there are telltale signs that, give away you having a transfer addiction. And in the beginning, right after your surgery, you may not be able to notice that you have a transfer addiction, or that you have the signs of a transfer addiction, because you're so focused on eating well and doing well and losing weight. But just be cognizant of things that you are doing outside of eating that tend to make you happy or give you the feeling that food used to give you. There's several types of addictions. I think I've mentioned a few. Gambling, a gambling addiction. There is a spending and shopping addiction. There are drinking. There's a sexual addiction. There's, just risky behavior addictions, doing things that can cause you to harm yourself or harm others, to put a damper on your well-being in the long run. You may notice, with as far as like a drug addiction or an alcohol addiction, you may notice that you need, more than just one glass of wine a week. That you start off drinking one glass of wine a week, and then you're going to 3, 4, 5 glasses of wine, and then you're drinking, 2 and 3 bottles a night. It just progresses over time, and then you feel that you need more of that substance, whether it be shopping. Like for me, I was going to the thrift store literally every day at one point in time. Like, who needs to go to the thrift store every day? And it wasn't just going in and looking at things. I was buying things daily. Like, who needs to buy things at the thrift store daily? Neither here nor there. But just knowing your patterns and your behaviors, try your best to have your antenna up. Try your best to be as reasonable and cognizant about your situation so that you can say, hey, talk to anybody. Find someone you trust, your friend, your partner, your mom, your dad, your best friend. Even if it's a coworker, your therapist, like, hey, there are things going on with me mentally, and I feel like I may have a transfer addiction. I think it's important that we have people in our circle that we can trust and that won't judge us, because judging only leads to shame and guilt. It's a vicious cycle. I thank you guys so much for being here and listening to my story and just kind of talking about some things that are going on in my life. Like I've mentioned to you guys, I don't know, if you guys want to hear about this. I don't know if you guys want to sit down and listen to me talk for 30 minutes. I don't know if you guys want to know what I'm doing outside of VSG. If you only want to hear VSG content, that's perfectly fine as well. But I did get a request to talk about this, and I also got a request to talk about the Moonjaro, which I am going to do. But I do want to make this really, really clear. If you do feel, and I apologize for the shift in tone here, but I want you guys to know how serious I am. If you feel that you or someone that you know who has had a bariatric surgery is suffering with a transfer addiction or an addiction of any kind, it is okay to talk to someone. It is okay to reach out for help for that person. It is okay for you yourself to reach out for help. There is nothing to be ashamed of. There is nothing to feel bad about. These things happen. And it is okay to go through these things. It is normal. It is real. And I support you. The first step to overcoming an addiction is to say it out loud, to speak with someone, and to get help. I'm going to put the number here that you can call in anonymously. There are also a few short codes that you can dial on your phone that help adults and children in crisis. You don't have to speak with anyone directly. You can actually text these individuals over the phone, and they are able to help you through any crisis situation you may be going through. So just having that information and knowing that it's at your fingertips, and knowing that there is someone who, if you have no one who to support you and to help you through your situation, these individuals are there, and they are genuinely there to help you live a healthy and happy life and to get through whatever issue you are going through. I love you guys so very much. If you are not, please follow me on other social media platforms. I'm pretty active on TikTok now. I love TikTok. Instagram, Snapchat, my Facebook group. I'm not really there as much as I am, but I do have moderators, and the group is still live. Follow me on my social media platforms. Typically, you know what I'm doing. Or if you're just missing me and you just want to see me, you can come on over there. That's my heated blanket. It wanted to break the phone. Y'all, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you so very much for being here. You could have been anywhere else in this YouTube planet, but you chose to be here with me. I love you to the moon and back, and I will see you guys next week. Adios, amigo. Bye. Oh, wait. Sorry. Bye. Bye. Goodbye.